Hey guys, so doing something a bit different today on A Brief History Conspiracy. We're going on a hunt. So we're going to be looking for werewolves, pigmen, ghosts with black eyes, and possibly UFOs. Now, there's not many places in the UK that you can go where you got a chance of seeing all of those. But here we are in Staffordshire, going to Cannock Chase. So, the plan is to hike through this amazing area and see what we can find. Most of the stories we are going to talk about today centre in this area, the Cannock Chase War Cemetery, a place where both Allied and Axis dead were buried following World War II, a place infamous to locals. Walking around it, you really do start to get a feel for the energy of the place. Surrounding the cemetery is thick woodland. In places you can only see a few feet into the trees before all you can really make out is the darkness. There are also old mines and cave systems dotted around that some believe hide dark secrets. So what is in these woods? Well, some people say there are werewolves, some people say there's a beast of Cannock Chase, a panther, and some people believe pigmen. The whole area is surrounded by really dense woodland. If there was something in here, even 10, 12 feet into the woods, you wouldn't be able to see it. There is a great deal of military history in the area. An Air Force base operated on the chase during the war, RAF Hensford, and it didn't actually close until 1956. But was it the site of wartime experiments? Evil experiments breeding monsters? Well, the story goes that a woman was impregnated with a half-man, half-pig embryo. This child grew into a 6-foot pig man that still walks the chase today, hiding from the visitors in the surrounding caves. There have been multiple sightings, of course, and even a couple of books written about the Pigman of Cannock Chase, but in reality, it doesn't seem likely. More likely is that it was a story, told to keep the children of Cannock away from the dangers of the air base and the cave systems and the mines. Yeah, it seems to be far more likely that it was just a tale told by the parents to keep their children safe. So, I doubt there are really pigmen lurking in these woods. But what about the beast? Well, this one might actually be true. The beast of Cannock Chase may have stalked its prey in this area for years. On the chase is actually a deer population of over 850, and that population is growing. But over the years, the locals tell me it used to be very common to find mutilated deer carcasses with wounds similar to that of a wild beast attack. Something big was hunting on Cannock Chase. The smallest of the country's areas of outstanding beauty. Cannock Chase is around 26 square miles. So is it even possible for something to be lurking in these woods? Something big enough to take down deer? Maybe some sort of big cat? Perhaps a panther? Well, following the introduction of the Dangerous Wild Animal Act laws in 1976, it became illegal to keep wild animals in the UK. This allegedly led to several big cats being released into the woodlands. Beasts were suddenly being reported and seen in the rolling hills of England. The last sighting I can find, though, was in about 2010. So it looks like if there was a beast of Cannock Chase, it's long gone. But could there be something more sinister, more paranormal lurking in these woods? There'd been a forest fire about a week before we did this video. And, it really changes how the woods look. Looks far creepier. Still a strange kind of beauty, though. But it did remind me of the ghost stories of Cannock Chase. The ghostly black-eyed children have even been caught on a YouTube video. For 30 years there have been sightings. In 2014, Lee Bickley, a local paranormal investigator, reported hearing giggling noises while he was walking his dog over the woods. Then he saw a small girl. She just appeared in front of him and his wife. They both stood dead, transfixed by the apparition's black eyes. They stared at each other for a moment, and then she just disappeared into the trees. Brickley has written a book about his experiences and found other locals who have also seen something. One witness said she heard screams before seeing the ghost. She saw a small girl stood in front of her, covering her eyes, described as if she was waiting for a birthday cake. At first, the witness was concerned. Maybe this was a lost child. But when the young girl lowered her arms, the witness was horrified to see the dark black eyes. She was stunned and jumped back. She was actually with her daughter at the time. And then in a flash, there was no one. So what is it that people are seeing? This girl with charcoal black eyes. Well, obviously it sounds like some sort of ghost appearing and reappearing. But unusually for most ghost stories, these actually happen during the day. A lot of the sightings happen in broad daylight. There are very few people over Cannock Chase at night, is one way of explaining that. How many ghost stories have you ever heard of that the sightings are during the day? Tom Buckmaster made national news with his team of ghost hunters when he caught an image of a little girl dressed in white with hollow black eyes. Tom claims the ghost warned them we're watching and even threw a stone at them, followed by a male voice saying, "He's coming." But who? Who is he? Perhaps they mean Raymond Leslie Morris, who murdered 3 children on the chase in the 1960s. A real-life monster that stalked these woods. Does his crimes perhaps leave a psychic scar on the land? Or are his victims still lost, unable to move on? Again in 2014, another image was captured though. Christine Hamlet, a leading psychic, says she caught the image of one of the black-eyed children near the edge of woods not far from the Chase Visitor Centre. She feels the troubled souls died at a local workhouse decades ago, lay in unmarked graves following a smallpox outbreak. So, lost souls, victims of a horrific crime, or demons out to spread evil, what are the black-eyed children? I don't know. But crimes like the deaths of these 3 children leave a mark on a small town like this, even years later. Perhaps that mark still lingers? Tonight though, we're not just up here hunting for ghosts. There be aliens and werewolves on Cannock Chase too. Here in the woodland of Cannock Chase, you never feel like you're that far away from civilization. You occasionally hear traffic in the distance and you see people almost constantly. So is it possible that the beast of Cannock Chase survived here for decades? Well, there were several hundred sightings, as well as deer found mutilated on a reasonably regular basis. It is possible that a big cat lurked these woods, but there haven't been any sightings for a very long time. So if you do come hiking over Cannock Chase, you're probably safe from getting eaten. You better be anyway, because I'm staying here tonight. So, even though it would make an amazing YouTube video if I were to be eaten by a big cat or a werewolf or a pigman, I don't really fancy it. One of the most intriguing and famous UFO sightings in the UK is also linked to the area. RAF Cosford is an active training base locally as well as a magnificent air museum, and in 1993 a triangular UFO was seen over the base, only a few miles from where we are stood today. At 1:15 AM on March 31st, MOD officers reported a vast triangular-shaped vehicle hovering at 200 feet. They were astonished when the vehicle swept across the base firing a beam of white light towards the ground before suddenly flying off in a southeast direction towards Cannock Chase. On the same night, dozens of other sightings of triangular craft were seen all over the UK, and incidentally, this happened exactly on the 3-year anniversary of another UFO sighting over Belgium, where F-16s were sent to intercept. The British Ministry of Defence investigated this incident, as did the ATIP program of the Americans. Following the sighting at Cosford, it was corroborated by several people. The UFO was then seen passing over this area, including the nearby town of Rugeley. Several witnesses saw it, and one person in this area said he saw the object. It was a triangular vehicle. He estimated up to 200 meters wide, which I have to say seems unlikely. A 200-meter wide object flying reasonably low would fill out most of the sky. But either way, we can assume it was big. Now, a lot of the assumption is that it's some sort of black project being tested. But in the UK, most of our black projects and things are actually, and aircraft are actually tested up in Scotland, where there are far less people. Maybe they saw some sort of early stealth vehicle being tested. Vehicles like the British Tyrannus or the next generation fighter like the F-22 were still top secret at this point, but seems unlikely. For years, Cannock Chase has actually been considered a bit of a UFO hotspot. And there's a very famous incident in 2015 where hundreds of witnesses saw a slow-moving object travelling across Cannock Chase. It was apparently very loud, rumbling noise, loud enough that people were drawn out of their houses to look at what it was. A lot of people thought it was an aircraft in distress, but that would have been pretty easy to prove and to find out exactly what happened if that was the case. Other people have said maybe it was a black project or drones testing. And obviously some people believe it was a UFO. So something did happen, but at the moment we don't know what it was. But lights and objects in the sky are seen quite regularly. So there have been multiple sightings of werewolves on Cannock Chase as well. How many places in the world can you go that you can get werewolves, pigmen, UFOs and ghosts in one place? It's not many. But the story of where the werewolf came from is almost as weird as the fact that there's a werewolf in Staffordshire in the first place. So the story goes that a 17-year-old lad in Ellesmere, which is a village not far from here, was on a Ouija board and made a pact with the devil. He wanted to become a werewolf. So he had an agreement with the devil, and then there was reports that he was growling and barking and attacking people. He then, sadly, committed suicide using a silver knife, according to the legend. So this was in 1975, which just happened to be the same year that the first werewolf sighting was reported. So now, somewhere in these woods, there's a werewolf. And I'm going to see if I can see it and run away from it really quickly. The sun is just starting to disappear over the horizon. It'll be dark in the next 30 minutes or so. So we'll see what Cannock Chase is like at night. It's fair to say that with only the moonlight, I couldn't see a damn thing. I literally couldn't see the hand in front of my face once we got into the woods. If there was any wildlife in these trees, be it big cat, werewolf, pigman or any other damn thing, I couldn't see it, and I'm pretty sure it could pass within 6 feet of me and I wouldn't see it. So I decided to get out the red light and start doing a little bit more of a careful search. But if I'm 100% honest, the only thing that's really worrying is the midges that are attacking me as we speak. All over my face. We had picked to come up here particularly this evening because it was a full moon, which while planning it in the safety of your own home felt like a brilliant idea. Not so much when I was actually up here though. It's approaching midnight. Still out here on Cannock Chase. It's silent. There's no noise at all. If there is anything out here, it's being quiet. It's being still. There isn't any sort of noise of wildlife or anything moving. It's a bright moon tonight, so you can still see around us really, really well. And obviously I've picked the creepiest light to film by that I possibly can, using the red light. It was a group of paranormal investigators in 1975 that first reported seeing the werewolf of Cannock Chase. But there have been several sightings since. Cardiff priest and psychic investigator Lionel Fanthorpe claims there have been more than 20 sightings of the werewolf over the years. The Staffordshire Post in 2007 reported 2 such cases. A postman saw a large dog near the cemetery one day. As he got closer, he says it stood on its hind legs and ran away from him. Now, this sighting was very unusual in that it was seen during the day, so maybe the story about werewolves only coming out at night is just legend. In the same newspaper report, a scousemaster said he saw a big dog. He said it was prowling near the woodland. It made him uneasy, so he got into his car for safety, but as he slammed the door shut, it startled the beast. It again rose up to over 7 feet in full height and ran off into the woods. Like I mentioned earlier, it is quite common to find mutilated deer, and pets are often taken right out to the local gardens. So maybe, just maybe, something is still hunting these woods. An ancient tribe, the Cornevi, lived on the chase as early as 50 AD. The groundworks in their fort can still be seen today. One theory about the werewolf is that the tribe sacrificed humans and worshipped the wolf. Wolves still roamed England at the time. Hunters would prove their strength by killing a wolf and wearing the fur to take their power. Some believe that the tribe may have been successful, and they may have actually become more wolf than man, surviving until the present day. The story of werewolves is one of our most ancient myths. But don't we find that almost all of these old tales are based in some sort of truth? I've spent a few hours now wandering around the woods. It is very strange that there is virtually no noise, like there's something up here with me, scaring off the normal wildlife. It's first light here, it's like 5:10. And quick werewolf update, I didn't get eaten. Really quiet night actually, except for one owl in the distance. And a couple of doves now. So in conclusion then, let's break them down. Pigmen, that's the first one, and that's I think the easiest to sort out. UFOs. UFOs are always interesting, particularly in an area like this, but also because it's so wide open with quite a large town nearby, any lights and things would be seen. Could it be black projects? I doubt it. It'd be the stupidest place in the world to test anything secret. It's too many people. Cannock is literally, right on the edge of this large forest, and it's just not remote enough or big enough to test anything really secret. But UFOs, it does seem to have been a bit of a UFO hotspot for about 20 years, so something's going on. The black-eyed girl, there's a history in this area going back to the 60s that does tend to say to me that the psychology of it is probably unlikely, but also the sightings seem to be very few and far between, and the best evidence we've got is by this one author who seems to be trying to sell a book. And the werewolf, I do love a werewolf story. Could something survive in these woods? Big panther or something, maybe back in the 80s and 90s? It's definitely possible. There seems to have been enough witnesses and mutilated deer found and things, but nothing for years. But again, there's a lot of people on these woods during the day. But it is a big area, so it's not impossible. We're talking werewolf though, I don't think so. So anyway, thanks for watching. I gotta go home and have a bacon sandwich. again, it seems to be a... What's the word? What did the Ghostbusters do? What were they signs of? Paranormal. So again, it seems to be... So again, it seems to be a really big paranormal hotshot. Have you got a big logo? Woo! You have it in the background. Can you put it up in the fucking name?
It doesn't work. Can't see. There you go.
There you go, there you go.
Hold on. UFOs!
They're everywhere. The truth is out there. Whoa, hello. But the Cannock Chase, but Cannock Chase does seem to be a paranormal hotspot. I'll put that in the end.